Hi Cancer, welcome to your week ahead tarot. Hi Cancer, welcome to your September 2022 Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your Sun, Moon and Ascendant signs. So whether you're a Sun, Moon or Rising sign Cancer, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So if you haven't seen it, the Boz project, or the Birth of the Zodiac project, is up and out there and it is live for you to check out. So it's been going for about 6 months at the, is it 6 months? Yeah, for about 6 months at this point, because we are into Virgo season. So what we're looking at each month is one sign, and we look at the crystals, the herbs, the tarot card, like just everything about that sign. You can catch that on Facebook, you can see it on my Instagram, or you can see it on the YouTube community page, so stay tuned for that. For your actions and interactions with the world at large over the course of September, if you can believe, are the Hierophant Card. So this is about you really getting things established, okay? So the Hierophant Card sees you really paying attention to what's going on at home. It's going to see you really getting very clear on the details, really paying attention to the fine print over the course of this month. What it also suggests as well is your actions are very much about getting the firm foundations in. This is about you really putting foot to butt when it comes to making things real or making things tangible. The Hierophant Card for me has an element of initiation, but also an element of the day-to-day about it. And what I mean by that is it's usually where we're implementing a structure of some kind. And I feel like a lot of you are doing that over the course of this month. It's like maybe you're writing yourself a plan. Maybe you are doing some kind of to-do list. Like this is about you getting really clear on the things that you want to do or what the next stage of everything looks like. So to give you an example, sorry, I think I've been bitten by something. Ow. To give you an example, if you know anything about the Marvel films, they are released in phases, right? So you've got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, etc. And what this suggests to me is this is about you really doing this, right? This is you paying attention to a lot of this stuff. It's you giving yourself a lot of clarity, and it's you paying attention to how things are being put together, how you are, you know, right? So I've done this up until now. This is you establishing what the next phase of your life looks like. And this is going to see you getting very much, you know, clear on what the details are. Now, because it is the Hierophant Card, this could be as well that you're outsourcing to a bigger institution of some sort, or maybe you're calling in some kind of professional help. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Two of Swords. So for a select few of you, it does look like you will be you will be interacting with a large institution. For some of you, you might be battling a large institution. Maybe this is paperwork or documentation that you need for something specific. Maybe it's not been too forthcoming. And the reason I say this, the Two of Swords can sometimes be an opposition. All right, this is where communication can get a little bit tetchy. And because you've got this with the Hierophant Card, I feel like this is something that you're trying to do. It may feel like it's blocked by other people or by an institution in some way, shape or form. So if you are going through any form of system at this moment in time, this would be a really good time to cross your T's, dot your I's, get very clear on your side, so that, you know, when you get met with those things, it's like, bam, got it. You know, oh, well, you're asking for this, got it, done, right? This is, get really clear ahead on this stuff now. Now, that being said, when it comes to communications, a lot of you could be, for some of you, I actually feel like this could be a month where you're learning secrets. This is like insider sort of secrets. Maybe this is you learning about, I wouldn't say like it's a hot tip or gossip because there's no Empress here. This would be, you know, maybe somebody that's on the inside of a larger institution is giving you information that is privy information that wouldn't necessarily reach your ears from Joe Public. because the Two of Swords has a very powerful energy, and you know, usually it's kind of very similar to the High Priestess. So I wonder if this month you're getting knowledge or information that you wouldn't usually be getting. Use that to your advantage. For your love and relations, your heart and half, you've got the Strength card. So look, for those of you that are single, it looks like you're trying to puzzle it out with maybe somebody that's in your life. Like, what are we? Are we there? Are we not there? Are we doing this? Are we not doing this? There's an element of you really starting to try to figure out what you and this person are to each other. So this might not necessarily even be somebody that you're seeing as yet. It might not necessarily, you know, maybe you're in that kind of what are we phase or stage. And I feel like a lot of you are. For some of you, it's going to require a leap, right? You're going to have to just kind of jump in and see where it takes you. Whereas for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this, I feel, is something that you and your partner are going to have to battle together. There's something happening here where you're having to really... It's like you're having to find a way to do this thing together as an item. And maybe this sees you dealing with paperwork. Maybe it sees you dealing with a larger institution. And it might be something that you have to really stick to. It's like, you know what, we've come this far, we can't back down now. You're going to have to take it all the way. For your money and materials, you've got the Two of Cups. So what do we see here? Two twos. Two twos is a bond, a pact, or an accord. You've got the Two of Cups here in the finance sector. So by sticking to whatever it is that you're, you know, getting clear on at this moment in time, that's where the resources come in. Your finances, money, resources, these are all things that partnerships, connections, and collaborations are being enhanced by. And because you've got this right next to the Strength card, whatever you and a significant other are doing together, it does have something to do with money. It does have something to do with resources and finances. And maybe this is just you figuring out how you're going to do the next however long. But there's something here where you're getting really clear on your resources, but your finances are in... it's not just that they're improving, but they are supported by externals, right? So this could be your partner, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be a colleague. There's something here that suggests your money it's not just coming from you this month. For your first week of the month, you have the Hermit card. Okay, so you've got this with the Hierophant. So that's a lot of earth energy, and it's a lot of very exacting and precise energy. I mean, a lot of the moves that you're making this month look to be very strategic. It also looks like you're paying a lot of attention to the things that you're really trying to get done. It also suggests to me as well that this might be a month where there's a lot happening behind the scenes, but not necessarily out in the world. So maybe this is lots of paperwork and documentation. Maybe this is lots of, stuff flowing backwards and forwards between you and a third party or an institution. And it's something that you're having to kind of, it's like, when a friend says to you, like, I'm just dealing with something at the moment, can't talk about it right now, but when I can, you'll be the first to know. And then they tell you and it's like some crazy story. This could be one of those months that is a little bit intense. For your second week of the month, you've got the Death card, and this is coupled with the Two of Swords. For those of you that have had elderly people pass over, and it's weird because I'm not seeing this as a death now. What I'm seeing is potentially complications over somebody's estate, money that's been left behind, resources that have been left behind. It's very possible there could be talks or deliberations and stuff that are going on about that. Because it is underneath the Two of Swords as well. For some of you, this is likely to be a month where you're going to say, okay, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm obviously not getting anywhere with this specific person or institution. I'm going to cut my losses and run here, and I'm going to go elsewhere. So for a lot of you, the second week of the month could see you seeking alternatives to whatever and whoever you're already having to work with alongside or interact with. For your third week of the month, you've got the Fool card. New things, new places, new people, new energies. This is kind of, you know, all months are, because the signs tend to straddle the month, but this really does look like a month of two halves. You've got a lot of intensity here in the first half of the month. As soon as we get to the third week, as we come into Libra season, you've got a break in the case, as it were. The Fool card is a reset button, and because you've got this with the Strength card, it basically says whatever's happening in the first half of the month, hang on until you get to the second half of it, because it won't be as bad, or it won't be as intense. When it comes to relationships and partnerships in general, for some of you there is new love here, but again, it's like this is somebody that's already in the picture that you're having to take a leap of faith to align with. So maybe this is outside of your comfort zone. Maybe there's something about it that's going against the grain for you. For those of you that are partnered, whatever you guys are working on or facing together, you will get past it. And more importantly, it's like by sheer determination and not backing down is how it improves. And then for your fourth week of the month, you've got the Faith card. So you have a double hit of Hierophant Card energy. It's 2 5s. 2 5s is a vigil. So in this last week of the month, you got to be really intentional about your thoughts. You got to be really, really on top of looking after your physical health and vitality. And then finally, whatever challenge or issue you're having with potentially a larger institution, conversations that you're having about somebody else's estate or their money or resources that you're having to step in on somebody else's behalf for, that all wraps up here in the last part of the month. Now, what I will say for your personal finances as well, if you are swapping somebody out or you're finding an alternative, that will be good for you. So for your new moon in the sign of Libra, remember whenever I'm talking about astrology, I'm usually talking about whole sign tropical systems, all right? And I always say to people, check your ascendant first, to a lesser degree the sun and the moon, but still very much relevant. It's still going to play out in some way, just it depends on your unique situation. But this new moon in the sign of Libra is taking place for you in your fourth house of home, family, ancestry, you know, the people that you come from, but it's your roots, the place that you live, the people that you live there with. All of that stuff is the fourth house. And so you're getting a reset button or a change here on the 25th, around this point, where things will start to, you know, they will start to ease up. For this, you've got the gate 55 and abundance. So there is something going on with your resources this month, and there are potentially some interesting and intense conversations around that, but they all come good. The gate 55 is basically a message to say it's not just about money and resources, we know that, but it's also a message to say that unless, when you really do live in that space where you trust the universe to provide for you, it shows up with a cornucopia. It doesn't just drop a few peanuts at your door and say, yeah, you'll be all right with that. When you really do align with the fact that the universe has plenty and it will give to you, and you really like sit in that energy, that's where your abundance really shows up. And the angel on the card, or the angel wings, are reminiscent that the universe always comes through for you at the moment that you think no one will. For your full moon, you got that's on in the sign of Pisces on the 10th of September, and the full moon for you is happening in your 9th house. This is all to do with your It's all to do with your future, absolutely, but this is your higher beliefs, your philosophies, the things that really sit with you. It's your faith. And your faith, I'm going to be really honest with this set of cards and the intensities that's here. I wouldn't be surprised if your faith really is tested over the course of September, especially in that first half of it. But don't let that scare you or deter you. It just means that you've got to strengthen your faith so that when the blessings come through, it's kind of like a validation, right? On top of that, because this is in your 9th house, this is all to do with, you know, higher learning and education. But higher learning and education isn't just going to school or university. Sometimes it's about discovering something and getting passionate about that thing enough to take your own learning in that direction. So this could be a time where you're gaining a really immense amount of information or knowledge on a specific subject, but it's being led by you, by a pull within you to do something about it. And then finally, 9th house is also a very lucky house. So That could be nice as well. Wrong deck, Raph. And for this, you've got the Gate 52 and Stillness. I find this really interesting because in ancient astrology, the ninth house was called the House of God in your chart. And so this is where you connect to the higher wisdom. This is where you connect to the higher self, the higher mind, the universal consciousness, if you like. 12th house is collective consciousness. 9th house is universal, godly, whatever you want to call it, consciousness. And because you've got the Stillness card there, this would be a time to meditate. This would be a time to check in with your faith. This would be a time for you to really delve deeply into your connection with the all of everything. It's only really through that we can tap into any of the powers that we have. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have as good a month as you possibly can. It's going to be a little bit intense, but like I said, as we get to the second half of the month, things definitely improve. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.